the car out of the garage today because we're going to be doing a different kind of project. One that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. We are going to be replacing these, and we are going to be putting in these NRG Type R seats. I will have harnesses on the way next week, so maybe when we start going back to autocross, we don't slide halfway out of the driver's seat into the passenger seat or halfway out the window. So let's get these OEM seats out and see what we need to do for brackets. To expose the bolts, there's these plastic covers, and they pop off. We don't like breaking stuff. And we got a 14mm bolt here. Same with the plastic cover over here. 14mm bolt. Women's hair out of the way. As far as the back, move a mess out of the way if you have one. And it looks like another plastic cover here, 14mm, and I would assume it's the same MO right here. That one comes out from the front. Make a little bit of room. There we go. There we go. Another 14mm. So let's pull these 4 bolts out. The seat should lift out. Okay, this is the passenger seat out, and I laid it upside down. What we're going to try to do is take these 4 12mm bolts out of the seat rails here and see if we can just bolt that onto the bottom of the NRG seat. Now, some people say that you can, so we're about to find out. So let me take these off and see if they'll match up. Okay, so it wasn't too difficult. I undid the 4 bolts like I pointed out before, and that got this loose, but it wasn't all the way off. It got the seat bottom off, so just the bottom part came off. So to get the top off, I took the plastic panels off. Okay, these were up on the sides like this that covered the hinges, and there was a 12mm bolt that went in the bottom of the side, and I'll get in depth with this more on the other side now that I know how to do it. And I took that off, and then there were a couple of 14mm bolts that were over here that bolted into the side that held on the reclining back. And since all that was spring loaded, there were some bolts on here, but all of it came off relatively easily. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm pretty sure that this will just bolt on to the bottom of the new seat. And until the harnesses come in, we can just use the stock 3-point. Okay, all I had to end up doing was the front. These are the OEM brackets, and these are the sliders that came with the seat. So what I did was I bolted the slider to the seat bracket, and on the back I re-drilled a hole about halfway between the OEM hole and the edge, and I bolted it to there, and I put the, I think it was a 3/8 spacer behind the bracket so they sit a little bit more level. And that's all there was to it. It was actually quite easy once I figured out how to do it. So we'll go more in depth on the next seat so you can see this step by step. So after you remove those 4, one thing you have to remember is to keep your seatbelt wire, you've got to remove this. And it's just a couple of wire tenders. And we're gonna have to be very careful because it goes up behind and connects here. So we wanna disconnect this, and then the seat base can come out. Before I forget, to remove the height adjustment knobs, there's 2 little spring clips that clip around the shaft, and you can just use a straight slot screwdriver and go back behind the knob. So it's on like this. You can take the straight blade and pop that off. Just look behind it, and these are spring steel, so they will fly if you're not careful. So just keep your hand cut behind them and catch them when they come off. And then you can work the seat base out from around all this stuff and take it off. Okay, now that you got the seat base off, you can take off all this. Now there's a Phillips right behind here, and that'll make that come loose. There's a Phillips right down here. We can see with the light. And we remove that, and the slider comes off. So let's remove these screws and get the trim pieces off, and then we can finish unbolting the seat back. Phillips for this trim piece here, and to actually get it off, you need to remove this 12mm bolt. The backrest will come off, the seat back, and then this will come off with it. And then we can start on mounting the new seat to this rail. Okay, I'm a little astounded at how much easier the driver's side is. Because of the front and back height adjustment, there's all this other mechanism, and it's on these double pivot hinge things. I don't know what you engineer people want to call them, but the inch or so that I had to re-drill the other brackets, there's no need for this because these all swivel. So it's literally just bolted up. It took me 2 minutes. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and bolt it to the back of the seat with the other 4 bolts provided and get it set in the car and see what it's like. Okay, now the brackets are mounted. They're a little finicky. You just got to wiggle them to make sure they're on, and make sure that this post stays in this hole. So when you get the seat bolted up, all of your leveling stuff will work the way it's supposed to. For the seatbelt wire, I ran it around the bracket on the seat, the actual mount, and I just have it coming out underneath the cover, and I'll plug it back in. This was much easier. And there they are installed. A couple things to note. Number one, they sit a lot higher than stock, even if you lower these all the way down. Now, if you're a good fabricator, which I'm not, you might be able to cut and weld and make something work. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be ordering wedge brackets for this, so these set down where they should. They are far too high for my taste. I am not but 5'8", and I don't like how high they sit. And this, I will like the seats a lot better with them sitting properly. But they look good in here, and they're a comfortable seat, but I don't like how this looks. It looks rigged up and ugly, and I'm not a fan of it. I don't like seeing all the metal, and I just don't like how high they sit. It's all the way down, and you can see the gap between the steering wheel and the seat, and that's a small steering wheel that's all the way up. So it's good right now. The seats fit good, and it can work with OEM brackets, but I do not recommend it. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Please like, comment, and subscribe right here for more Rage Fuel content. We'll see you next time.